In this video, we will talk about the plurality voting method. So if you have some type of election, the plurality voting method says that the choice with the most first preference votes is the winner. Now, a couple things to note about this method. In case of ties, so for example, if two choices have the same number of first preference votes, some type of runoff method would be required to determine the winner. And another thing to note is that it's possible for a winner to have a plurality, so the most number of first preference votes, without having a majority, so more than 50% of the first preference votes. So those are a couple things to keep in mind. So let's check out an example. This says, a university gives a survey to 200 students asking them about their preferred school lunch. The preference table below shows the results. Determine the winner using the plurality method. So this preference table shows the results of the survey. Now within this table, we have the letters H, C, and P. H stands for hot dog, C stands for cheeseburger, and P stands for pizza. So the way to interpret this table, for example, is 36 out of the 200 students said that they would prefer hot dog as their first choice, then cheeseburger as their second choice, and then pizza as their third choice. And then 25 of the students out of the 200 said they'd prefer hot dog as the first choice, but then pizza as the second choice, and cheeseburger as the third choice. So that's how to interpret the values in this table. So we want to determine the winner using the plurality method. So what we're going to do is count the number of first preference votes for each of these three choices, hot dog, cheeseburger, and pizza. So let's start with hot dog. We'll say H. Let's count the number of first place votes that it got. So we can see that in this column right here, hot dog was the first choice and it got 36 votes. So we'll say 36 plus, in this column here, we can see that hot dog was also the first choice and it got 25 votes. So that's 25. And then we can see in all the other columns, hot dog was not the first choice. So the total number of first preference votes for hot dog is 36 plus 25, which is 61. All right, now let's repeat the process for cheeseburger. So the number of first place votes for cheeseburger would be 40 plus 23, which is 63. And then lastly, let's count pizza's first place votes. So that would be 41 plus 35, which is equal to 76. So we can see that pizza has the most first preference votes. So we would say pizza is the plurality winner. Now, one thing to note is that pizza only got 76 out of the 200 possible votes. So the percentage of total votes that it got is 76 out of 200, which is 38% of the total votes. So it has the plurality, it has the most first preference votes, but it doesn't actually have the majority. So keep that in mind. Using the plurality method, you don't need the majority. In other words, you don't need more than 50% to be declared the winner. Now, one other term that we should mention is something known as the Condorcet winner. So if there's a choice that is preferred in every head-to-head comparison, then that choice should be declared the Condorcet winner. So it's worth noting that the Condorcet winner doesn't have to match the plurality winner. It could, but it doesn't have to. So if we consider this survey one more time of these 200 students being asked about their preferred school lunch, let's determine the Condorcet winner. So the way that we do that is we need to compare each of the three choices head to head. So for example, we need to say hot dog versus cheeseburger, and then we need to compare hot dog versus pizza, and then lastly, we need to compare cheeseburger versus pizza. So we're doing three head-to-head comparisons. So the way that we do that, for example, hot dog versus cheeseburger, is we're going to look at each of these columns and we're going to see where is hot dog preferred over cheeseburger. So for example, in this column, we can see that hot dog is chosen over cheeseburger. In this column, hot dog is also chosen over cheeseburger. And in this column down here, hot dog is also chosen over cheeseburger. So what we do is we just add the total number of voters in these three columns where hot dog was chosen over cheeseburger. So 36 plus 25 plus 41, that turns out to be 102. So let's write 102 right here. And then we're going to look at, well, where does cheeseburger beat hot dog? So let's check out the columns here. We can see in this column, cheeseburger is preferred over hot dog. In this column, cheeseburger is also preferred over hot dog. And in this column, cheeseburger is preferred over hot dog. So now we'll add the total number of votes where cheeseburger beats hot dog. So 40 plus 23 plus 35, that turns out to be 98. So we can see in a head-to-head comparison of hot dog versus cheeseburger, hot dog wins. So let's go ahead and circle hot dog for this one. Now we're just going to repeat this process for hot dog versus pizza. So let's check out the columns. Where does hot dog beat pizza? We can see it beats it in this column, and this column. So the total number of votes where hot dog beat pizza was 36 plus 25 plus 40, which is 101. And then we'll count the columns where pizza beats hot dog. So that would be this column, and this column. Pizza is preferred over hot dog. So the total number of votes is 23 plus 41 plus 35, which is 99. So we'll write 99. So for this one, the head-to-head comparison between hot dog and pizza, we can see that hot dog also wins. And then lastly, we can compare cheeseburger versus pizza. So let's find the columns where cheeseburger is preferred over pizza. So that would be this column, and this column. Now, the total number of votes would be 36 plus 40 plus 23, which is 99. So we'll say 99 for cheeseburger. And then lastly, let's find the columns where pizza actually beats cheeseburger. So that would be right here, and right here. So 25 plus 41 plus 35, that turns out to be 101. So pizza beats cheeseburger head to head. So if we're just looking at these results, we can see that hot dog beats both cheeseburger and pizza in a head-to-head comparison, and it's the only choice that actually beats the other two choices head-to-head. So we would say that hot dog is the Condorcet winner. So recall that pizza was declared the plurality winner because it had the most number of first-place votes, but it turns out that hot dog is actually the Condorcet winner because it won the head-to-head comparisons versus both cheeseburger and pizza. So just keep that in mind. The plurality winner and the Condorcet winner could be two different winners, just depending on the results of the survey.